Christened it. So welcome back to the video that I think a fair few people have been waiting for, and that is the dyno. So finally the R34 Skyline is going to make some power. I want to see in the comments below, guess how much power it's going to make. Do keep in mind it's a very basic setup. It's an RB25 Neo DE engine. It's not running E85, it's just 98 pump fuel. It's got a GT35 76 on it. Yeah, very basic. If you're from America, your horsepower figures pretty much take the number you had in mind, halve it again, and then you're gonna get a true Australian horsepower figure. None of that internet bullshit, everybody making 1,000 horsepower. So let's get stuck into this episode. So in the past I have seen comments about the trailer we're using. I've also received Instagram messages. I believe it is a tilter trailer. As you can see, there's a sticker on the side of it with a phone number. There's only a couple in our state, being Western Australia, and as you can see, it's still registered on New South Wales number plates. We bought it off our friend Scott. We're definitely getting a fair use out of this trailer, probably one of the best things we ever bought because our cars are forever broken. And how it works, it's got airbag suspension. You undo the air, the trailer drops to the floor, you drive the car on, pump the bags up, make sure the pin is in, and you're good to drive off after you've put a few straps on and pulled the handbrake back up. So very happy with this purchase, and to be honest, one of the best things we ever bought. Good morning, Tristan.
Morning, welcome to my humble abode of shenanigans. We're going to tune a car.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What else are we going to do?
I don't know.
What are your predictions? It has been put together by myself and a couple of friends.
Alright, so it's not going to break because you're a good guy.
Thank you.
And it's going to make about 317 horsepower.
Okay. Jethro, what do you think?
Power-wise?
Yep.
330, maybe.
330? Okay.
Yeah.
I say 295. We'll see how we go. Alright.
genuine rotors. How did you know rotors came with a center cap that said rotor now?
Yeah.
Did you buy them like that?
Yeah, they come, but they actually make one where it's flat as well, which I should get.
Right.
I tricked him though. He goes, "Did you buy them brand new?" He probably thinks I'm cashed as. And I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Shit."
Yeah.
And I was like, "The Choders," and he's like, "What?" I was like, "You fooled me." Look, they even got like an anodized lip nowadays and everything.
Ooh.
And what's the reason why we're changing the tyres, Tristan?
Oh right, so the tyres that are currently on these wheels are a little bit fresh and new and sticky and squishy, which is not good for dynos. So we're going to put some old hard tyres on, which is going to give us a more consistent reading, and that means a better tune.
There we go. Here's the wires hanging.
Because I haven't got to use it myself.
I'm not even too sure what we filmed so far, but we are finally on the dyno. Tristan and Jethro have slowly started setting everything up for the dyno runs. I'm not very confident in the car, but we can just hope for the best, that it all sort of holds up. Obviously they're professionals, they know what they're doing, where they're gonna spot things that might go wrong sooner than I will. And don't worry about the lines that are going into the bottle. I didn't really have time to get a catch can set up, so if the engine breathes any oil, it'll just go into the plastic containers. And one thing that I noticed is Tristan's actually got this little contraption that has a knock sensor that you bolt to the cylinder head, as they've done. And Tristan, what do? You can hear it through your earphones or something?
Yeah, so this is basically a forward knock sensor. So we put it on the engine, that goes through to an amplifier box, so I can listen to the inside of the engine on the headphones.
Yeah, because we are using a older Link G4. It probably doesn't have the best capabilities like the new Haltex or even the newer Link ECUs, where it can pick up if the engine is knocking or not. So this will tell him exactly. I don't know enough, but yeah, it's just one of the cool things I sort of saw that they were doing. Less talking, more work, and let's see if it's actually going to hold up. Alrighty, so day one unfortunately did not go to plan for us, and the thing that caused that was the turbocharger. It wasn't making any boost. It started making weird noises. We just sort of shut the car off, and Tristan said, you know what, you're gonna have to get yourself a new turbo. Luckily, I did have another turbo laying around off a Ford Barra. So the turbo that was originally on the car was a Kinagawa GT3582. Now, just before people start ripping into the comments saying, oh, I told you not to get a Kinagawa. But honestly, I've read a lot of reviews. I've spoken to a lot of people. All the drifters use them. A lot of reputable workshops over East use these turbochargers on the budget-friendly builds. They make great power. They're reliable. But unfortunately, I think I actually killed this turbo. The problem is, as I mentioned before, this is a naturally aspirated block. The block is tapped, but it is not drilled for the oil feed, which I didn't know. I just grabbed a fitting, screwed it in, ran a line to the turbo thinking oil would come through. This all sort of being my first time doing it, it was a stupid mistake. I should have checked if oil was coming out of there. The turbo ran for a good 10-15 minutes, you know, not at once, you know, maybe five times that the car ran. Might have been, you know, 2 or 3 minutes each time, 10 to 15 minutes, and that might have killed the turbo. I'm still going to get it sent out so they can check it and stuff, because it is brand new. I just purchased it off Marketplace off a random dude. Bit of a crappy thing to happen, but it was my fault, so we had to work with what we had. As I mentioned, we grab a Ford Barra turbo that I had laying around for some reason, which is a GT3576, a little bit smaller, which actually better suits what we're trying to do with this. And we just slapped the rear housing off the Kinagawa onto it, so we can still reuse our dump pipe and everything lines up. All we have to do is get Tristan to modify one of the intercooler pipes. The only crappy thing about this turbo is it's got a 3-inch intake and not a pretty, you know, big 4-inch intake. But we can always change the compressor housing for it to, you know, use a 4-inch intake. But yeah, day 2.
I'm looking for a way inside your mind. It's a haze of mysteries. All I see is smoke and mirrors, and the reflecting memories. I need to figure out how things are twined. The ropes are choking us. If only I could blow away the heavy clouds up in our sky. I see you. Can you see me too? Tell me how it feels to know that I cannot let you go. My veins, they are strained, 'cause my heart
Good news, I still remember how to weld.
do anything just to have you once again. I've lost my weakness, only void inside my bones.
All right, so this is, I think I told you this when I was around at your place, that when you run these intake manifolds that have the short runners,
Yep.
you lose some torque, but they become ridiculous up in the top end.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing now, is that we hit rev limiter and the power is still going up. And that's what we see every time when people put these intake manifolds on.
Yeah.
So now the question is, the amount of power you want to make all comes down to how high you want to rev the engine.
Right. What's it revving to at the moment?
7.5
Okay.
is what we're seeing now. It's a conservative limit for these.
Yeah.
I don't really like sending them to 8.
Yeah.
But every 100 RPM you give it gives it another 5 or 10 horsepower.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. But
Yeah, I'm more than happy as it sits, man. I was happy with 300, let alone 360.
Well, we're probably still on gate pressure, right? It's only around 14 pounds.
Right.
So I don't know if you want any more than that, but...
Well, is the engine knocking? I don't know.
No, there's no knocking yet.
Well,
I haven't even finished actually ripping the power out at this boost level.
Yeah.
Like there's more in it. So I
it
guess
up.
you just choose the amount of power you want, and we page up until it happens.
What are we doing?
So I don't know. Maybe this is just the amount of power you like, and you just have to play with it like it is, super safe.
Yeah. What's... Oh, God. It's like, I was happy with 300, but now that we can do more...
Now that you know you can get more, it's a dangerous thing.
How much more boost can it take before you think it's not safe?
So we reckon the compression of this is still up around 10 to 1, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. On this compression ratio, every pound I put into it from here, I'm going to have to start detuning hard.
Right.
So you're not going to gain much from the boost, just because I'll have to pull it back so severely. So you end up tripling the danger to the engine for small power gains.
Right.
Yeah. So if all you wanted was 300, you've got 20% more than that off the bat.
Yeah.
I reckon we leave it at this boost level and just fine tune it as much as we can.
Let's do that. I'm happy with that.
Cool, man. Wang it to infinity.
Yeah. I think we're going to take care of this engine, enjoy the car for a little bit, and then we can always build another engine for it and turn it up. So I think I'll try being mature about it for once. So all right, thank you, Tristan.
Okay, let's go.
Alrighty, so we're back at WTF Auto. It's Monday morning and it's time to pick the car up and take it back to the workshop, do a little bit more work, and I think in about a week or two we should be able to even hit the road. Take it for a drive. It's nice and sunny outside. Summer is just around the corner. Overall, very happy with how everything went. We did have a bit of an issue with the turbo. Had to replace the turbo really quickly, and the car didn't blow up, surprisingly. Didn't do anything weird. Made more power than it should have. So overall, stoked. We're going to look at the dyno graph, how much power it made, where it makes the power, and also how much torque it's made once we get back to the workshop. But while we're here, we're going to check out Tristan's personal project, which is a V12 twin turbo Mark IV Supra. Supras are sick. They're not the best looking cars, let's be honest, but the internet loves them. They're very over engineered, but this is just on another level to have 12 cylinders, and the way he's going to make it work, it's pretty much going to sound like a supercar. He's got very, very close to equal length exhaust manifolds that he's, if this looks funky, I've never seen anybody really do this, especially on YouTube. They are 3D printing everything on this car. He's designing everything on a computer. He's taught himself how to use software, and he's using a very affordable 3D printer. I think he paid maybe $500 or $600, and he's able to print everything out to make sure it fits the car, because everything is very custom, and then they get it made out of certain materials or like billet aluminium and stuff, like the engine mounts, the sump and stuff. And they're going to be using a pair of G35 990 turbochargers as well. And don't know how much horsepower they're aiming for, but it's going to be, it's going to be over 1,000, I think. And yeah, there's so much detail on the YouTube channel. They go into every single detail about the entire build. The episodes are nice and lengthy for those that like the information, but all I can see from here is that they're using 24 injectors, it's 12 cylinders, and it's running Audi R8 coil packs. Plenty more to come on their channel. I'm going to link it in the description below, but for now, let's go load the car onto the trailer and head back to the shop. Massive episode for myself, for the car, the viewers that have been following this build series from the start. This car should not have been, this thing should not be this. It should have been a drift car, it should have been crushed, but it was just the right time at the right place when I picked it up. I did have help from family members, neighbors, friends to put this thing together. Most of the work has been done by myself, but we can't forget that there are a lot of people behind the scenes that have helped out with this build as well. Overall very happy with the result. We made 360 wheel horsepower. I was joking at the start of the video and I said take a number, halve it and halve it if you're in America, and then you get a true horsepower figure. But to be honest, an American horsepower, this thing probably makes 450 wheel horsepower and not 360, because your numbers are a little bit out of proportion. And for everybody that's watching this and they're devastated that it is not a 1,000 horsepower R34 Skyline just like the rest of the internet, let's be honest, 1,000 horsepower for most average people like you and I is just an unrealistic number. It's very expensive, it's not reliable. I want to drive this car, I want to enjoy this car, I don't want this thing to cost me an absolute fortune. We're going to do a build cost very shortly once it's finished, and you'll see that this car, it doesn't cost a fortune. It's a true budget build, even though it's a 34 Skyline. What else do I say? If you like this sort of content, consider subscribing. For all the people that have been following from the beginning of the build, liking, sharing, commenting, sending me emails. Don't send me emails, you can message me on Instagram, just don't email me. Message me on Instagram. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody showing support. It has kept me going, pushing forward through this car, getting videos out as soon as possible. The last few months I've been a little bit lazy with it, but till about that February, March time, honestly, I was charging just to, as hard as I can, just to produce videos, and I think that's where most of the progress on the car was made during that period between August and February or March. We're very close. There's probably 5 or 7 days worth of work to finish this car off, but I am struggling to find little bits and pieces. Technically, I could drive it on the road. The car is registered still, but with the Australian laws, I'd rather just finish it up a little bit more. So if I do get pulled over, at least I might be able to talk my way out this time compared to the Sylvia. Stoked. Nothing blew up. Very happy. To the people watching this video, if you've made it this far and you're asking yourself, well, what's going to come after this? What happens when the build series is done? Is that it for the YouTube channel? And I can promise you that this R34 build series has been a dream for me, but it is only the beginning. This has only been a warm-up. I think I'm finally getting an idea where I want this channel to head, what I want to do with it, what I want to do with the car, with things I want to do personally. I think it's going to be epic. Don't forget that there is a Supra behind the scenes as well that we are slowly tinkering with and rebuilding. Plenty more content to come. Just give me some time to figure out the way I want to do it, but I can promise you it's going to be fucking good. So we'll see you shortly.